This sign is a. Service sign. B. Regulatory sign. C. Warning sign. C. Warning sign. Warning signs are usually yellow with black markings. They alert you to conditions that are immediately ahead. There may be an upcoming change in traffic direction, a steep downgrade, or another potentially hazardous situation that requires action on the part of the driver. In rainy weather, you should be most careful when turning or stopping. A. After it has been raining all day. B. 1/2 hour after it stops raining. C. During the first half hour of rain. C. During the first half hour of rain. You should be extra careful when turning and stopping during the first half hour of rain. At this point, the oil from cars has not yet washed off the pavement and could be forming a slippery mixture with the rain. Streets and highways are most slippery. A. When it has been raining hard for several hours. B. When they are clean and dry. C. Just after it starts to rain. C. Just after it starts to rain. Driving during the first half hour of rainfall is dangerous because roadways become extremely slippery when the water mixes with oil and other chemicals on the road surfaces that have not yet washed away. Use extra caution when driving on slippery roads. Which of the following are factors commonly contributing to traffic crashes? A. Exceeding the posted speed limit and driving too fast for conditions or circumstances. B. Getting adequate rest and staying alert. C. Scanning the environment and staying focused on the driving task. A. Exceeding the posted speed limit and driving too fast for conditions or circumstances. Driving above the speed limit, driving too far below the speed limit, and driving too fast for conditions are all actions that commonly contribute to traffic accidents. Always drive with the general flow of traffic, within legal speed limits.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
Which of these is a safe driving technique? A. Using your high beam lights in the fog. B. Staring at the road ahead of your vehicle. C. Checking your rearview mirrors frequently. C. Checking your rearview mirrors frequently. To stay aware of hazards, you should scan the road and check your rearview mirrors every 2 to 5 seconds. Constantly staring at just the road ahead of you is dangerous. If you must drive in foggy conditions, you should use your low beam headlights, not your high beam headlights. When a school bus is stopped on the road ahead to load or unload children, you must A. Come to a complete stop until all the children have left the bus. B. Come to a complete stop until the red lights stop flashing and the stop arm is withdrawn. C. Change lanes, drive slowly, and pass the bus cautiously. B. Come to a complete stop until the red lights stop flashing and the stop arm is withdrawn. When a school bus is stopped on the road ahead with its lights flashing and its stop arm extended, you must come to a complete stop and wait to proceed until the lights have stopped flashing and the stop arm is withdrawn. Even after the bus begins to move again, do not proceed until you are sure there are no children crossing the road ahead of you. When driving in fog, you should A. Use your high beam headlights. B. Use your parking lights. C. Use your low beam headlights. C. Use your low beam headlights. Drivers should use low beam headlights when driving in fog. High beams will reflect back at the driver, making it difficult to see. When driving in fog, it is best to drive with A. High beam headlights. B. Low beam headlights. C. Four-way flashers. B. Low beam headlights. Use your low beam headlights when driving in fog, rain, or snow. High beam lights can reflect off the weather conditions, lowering visibility even more. You may legally block an intersection. A. If you entered the intersection on the green light. B. During rush hour traffic. C. Under no circumstances. C. Under no circumstances. Even if the light is green, you may not enter an intersection unless you can get completely across before the light turns red. If you block the intersection, you can be cited. This sign means A. There is a 35 miles per hour speed zone after the curve ahead. B. Drive no slower than 35 miles per hour around the upcoming curve. C. Approach the upcoming curve at a speed of 35 miles per hour or slower. C. Approach the upcoming curve at a speed of 35 miles per hour or slower. Warning signs are usually yellow with black markings. They alert you to conditions that are immediately ahead. These signs may be accompanied by speed advisory plaques that indicate the speed with which you should proceed. This sign means A. Crossroad ahead. B. Merge. C. Stop. A. Crossroad ahead. This sign indicates that there is a crossroad ahead. Excessive speed. A. Does not increase the chance of a crash. B. Increases your ability to react to a hazard. C. Often leads to high-risk decision-making. C. Often leads to high-risk decision-making. Excessive speed is one of the most common contributing factors to vehicle crashes. Excessive speed does not save time and often leads to high-risk decision-making. When parking next to a curb, you should use your turn signals. A. Only when pulling away from the curb. B. When pulling next to, but not away from, the curb. C. When pulling next to or away from the curb. C. When pulling next to or away from the curb. Drivers should signal when pulling next to a curb or away from a curb. The amount of alcohol in the blood is referred to as A. Implied consent, IC. B. Blood alcohol concentration, BAC. C. Rate of alcohol consumption, RAC. B. Blood alcohol concentration, BAC. Blood alcohol concentration, BAC, is a measurement of the percentage of alcohol in the blood. The higher the BAC number, the more impaired a person is. Excessive speed. A. Saves time so you can get to your destination more quickly. B. Helps you maneuver around obstacles. C. Increases the likelihood of serious bodily injury and death. C. Increases the likelihood of serious bodily injury and death. Excessive speed is one of the most common contributing factors to vehicle crashes. Excessive speed does not save time and often leads to high-risk decision-making. You are driving on the freeway behind a large truck. You should drive A. Closer behind the truck than you would if following a passenger vehicle. B. Farther behind the truck than you would if following a passenger vehicle. C. To the right side of the truck and wait to pass. B. Farther behind the truck than you would if following a passenger vehicle. It is necessary to follow farther behind a large truck than you would if following a passenger vehicle because trucks have larger blind spots. When approaching an intersection controlled by a flashing yellow light, you must A. Come to a complete stop at the intersection. B. Maintain your normal speed. C. Slow down and proceed with caution. C. Slow down and proceed with caution. A traffic signal displaying a flashing yellow light indicates that you should be alert and proceed with caution. Slow down when approaching a flashing yellow traffic signal. What does this road sign mean? A. Falling rocks. B. Trucks use second gear. C. Steep hill. C. Steep hill. Warning signs are usually yellow with black markings. This sign indicates that you are approaching a steep hill. Slow down and be ready to shift to a lower gear to control your speed and protect your brakes from damage. If you approach a traffic light with a red signal and a police officer directs you to go through the intersection without stopping, you should A. Stop until the light turns green. B. Go through the intersection without stopping. C. Come to a complete stop before proceeding. B. Go through the intersection without stopping. Instructions given by police officers directing traffic always override posted traffic signals and signs. Follow the officer's instructions. This road sign means A. Road construction ahead. B. The road ahead curves left then right. C. The road ahead curves right then left. C. The road ahead curves right then left. Warning signs are usually yellow with black markings. This sign warns drivers that the upcoming road will curve right, followed by a curve to the left. Drivers should adjust their speed to safely continue on the road. To see vehicles in your blind spots, you should check A. The inside rearview mirror. B. The outside rearview mirror. C. Over your shoulders. C. Over your shoulders. By definition, blind spots are areas that cannot be seen using your mirrors. To check your blind spots, you should look over your shoulders. An orange-colored sign like this means A. There is roadwork ahead. B. You must change lanes ahead. C. There is a detour ahead. A. There is roadwork ahead. Orange-colored signs indicate construction areas. Proceed with caution. If you have trouble seeing other vehicles because of dust or smoke blowing across the roadway, you should drive more slowly and turn on your A. Emergency flashers. B. Parking lights. C. Headlights. C. Headlights. You must turn on your headlights anytime conditions prevent you from seeing other vehicles. Other drivers may have trouble seeing you, too. When changing lanes. A. Rely on the rear-view mirror. B. Look over your shoulder in the direction you plan to move. C. Rely on the left side mirror. B. Look over your shoulder in the direction you plan to move. When changing lanes, glance over your shoulder to check for traffic in your blind spot. You may need to look several times before changing lanes. You must keep track of what traffic is doing in front of you as well as what traffic is doing in the lane next to you. Which lane must you be in before making a left turn from a one-way street? A. The lane nearest the left curb. B. The lane nearest the center of the street. C. The lane nearest the right curb. A. The lane nearest the left curb. When making any turn, turn from the lane closest to the direction you wish to travel into the first available legal lane. If you are making a left turn from a one-way street, this means that you would make the turn from the lane nearest to the left curb. Prior to entering a curve. A. Activate your turn signal. B. Reduce your speed. C. Brake hard. B. Reduce your speed. You may drive more slowly than the posted speed limit, based on road conditions, but it is illegal to drive any faster than the posted speed limit. Some conditions which require reduced speed for safety include approaching curves or hills where visibility is limited, driving on slippery roads, and driving on roads where animals and pedestrians are present. You should increase the distance between your vehicle and the vehicle ahead when you A. Are following a small passenger vehicle. B. Are being tailgated by another driver. C. Are driving more slowly than the posted speed limit. B. Are being tailgated by another driver. When being tailgated, create extra space in front of your vehicle and do not brake suddenly. Slow down gradually or merge into another lane to prevent a collision with the tailgater. This sign means you are approaching a railroad crossing that does not have a signal. You should A. Come to a complete stop. B. Proceed at a consistent speed while looking and listening for approaching trains. C. Slow down, look both ways, listen for any trains, and be prepared to stop if any trains are nearby. C. Slow down, look both ways, listen for any trains, and be prepared to stop if any trains are nearby. At a railroad crossing marked with this sign, a driver should look both ways, listen for any trains, and be prepared to stop if any trains are nearby. Never try to outdrive an oncoming train. This sign indicates that A. There is a steep hill ahead. B. No trucks are allowed on the upcoming hill. C. A logging road is ahead. A. There is a steep hill ahead. Warning signs are usually yellow with black markings. This sign warns drivers about an upcoming steep hill. Drivers should slow down and be ready to control their speed and protect their brakes from damage. A solid yellow arrow on a traffic signal means A. You should speed up so you can make the turn before the light changes. B. You do not need to signal to turn from the indicated lane. C. You should prepare to stop and yield the right of way to oncoming traffic. C. You should prepare to stop and yield the right of way to oncoming traffic. A solid yellow arrow means that the protection of a green arrow is ending. If you are turning in the direction of the arrow, you should prepare to stop and yield the right of way to oncoming traffic before turning. There are oncoming vehicles to your left and a row of parked vehicles to your right. You should steer A. Closer to the oncoming vehicles than the parked vehicles. B. Closer to the parked vehicles than the oncoming vehicles. C. A middle course between the oncoming and parked vehicles. C. A middle course between the oncoming and parked vehicles. If there are oncoming vehicles to your left and a row of parked vehicles to your right, the best thing to do is to split the difference. Steer a middle course between the oncoming cars and the parked cars. When a pedestrian guided by a dog or carrying a white cane is crossing the street. A. You must always yield the right of way. B. You must tell them where to cross the street. C. You only have to yield the right of way if you are at a corner. A. You must always yield the right of way. Blind or partially blind pedestrians may carry a white cane or use the assistance of a guide dog. You must always yield the right of way to a pedestrian who is using a guide dog or carrying a white cane. You are merging onto an interstate highway. You should A. Select a safe gap and merge into the lane of traffic. B. Merge across two lanes at once. C. Always stop before entering the highway. A. Select a safe gap and merge into the lane of traffic. Anytime you want to merge with other drivers, you need to find a gap large enough for you to safely enter into the flow of traffic. You should not stop on the entrance ramp to an interstate highway unless there are no gaps into which you may safely merge. When turning left from a two-way street onto a one-way street, you should A. Turn into any lane. B. Turn into first lane. C. Turn into second lane. B. Turn into first lane. When making any turn, turn from the lane closest to the direction you wish to travel into the first available legal lane. On a turn from a two-way to a one-way street, this means you should turn into the first lane. Water on the road can cause a vehicle to hydroplane. Your car may hydroplane at speeds as low as A. 45 miles per hour. B. 35 miles per hour. C. 40 miles per hour. B. 35 miles per hour. Hydroplaning occurs when there is standing water on a roadway. At speeds up to 35 miles per hour, most tires will channel water away from the tire. As your speed increases past 35 miles per hour, tires cannot channel the water as well and your tires may start to lose contact with the road and ride over the water like a set of water skis. When double solid yellow lines separate lanes of traffic. A. Passing is permitted from the left. B. Passing is permitted from the right. C. Passing is not permitted from either direction. C. Passing is not permitted from either direction. Yellow lines separating lanes of traffic indicate that traffic is moving in opposite directions. Double solid lines indicate that passing is not permitted from either direction. If a road is slippery, maintain a following distance that is A. No different than normal. B. Farther from the car ahead than normal. C. Closer to the car ahead than normal. B. Farther from the car ahead than normal. You need a longer distance to stop your vehicle on a slippery road than you do on a dry road. Maintain an increased following distance when driving on slippery roads. When changing lanes, you can check your blind spot by A. Using the inside rearview mirror. B. Turning your head and looking over your shoulder. C. Using your side mirror. B. Turning your head and looking over your shoulder. Even if your vehicle is properly equipped with mirrors, there are blind spots that cannot be seen by using the mirrors. Before changing lanes, look over your shoulder to check these areas. You should not use your horn. A. When visibility ahead is limited. B. If you might hit another vehicle. C. Near blind pedestrians. C. Near blind pedestrians. When driving near a blind pedestrian, using your horn may be dangerous. Yield to the pedestrian and proceed when it is safe to do so. This sign means A. 4-lane traffic ahead. B. Divided highway ahead. C. 2-way traffic ahead. C. 2-way traffic ahead. Warning signs are usually yellow with black markings. They alert you to conditions that are immediately ahead. This sign warns that you are leaving a separated one-way highway and will soon be driving on a 2-way highway.